Hey guys, how's it going? The following video is Katherine and I hanging out shortly after she spoke at the recent rally in Lansing, Michigan. And this video is directly applicable to Michigan, of course, especially several of the lawsuits that are coming together through the Michigan Appeals Court, the federal courts, and the Michigan Supreme Court. But I think this video is also applicable to everybody in America because we talk about the fundamentals of the Constitution and laws. And if a law is unconstitutional, is it even a valid law? And these are things that are probably going to affect all of you in your areas during these recent times, as many of your governors are infringing upon your rights in your state's constitutions. And this was recorded live right around the corner from the stage where people were speaking. I'm sorry about the background noise. I boosted the volume a little bit so you could hear us talking. And again, it's just a live recording and you're going to hear some background noise, but that's how we get these types of candid conversations that are truly just two people talking and not an actual scripted interview. And I get tired of all the scripted interviews where they already have the questions ahead of time and they have the answers before the questions. So that's what's cool about a video like this. It's just two people talking and being real about the opinions. So we're here once again in Lansing, Michigan. And you guys probably remember I had a lady named Katherine Henry. She's a constitutional attorney, and she did a video with me right here in the same spot about Chief Bukula. So what are we doing here today in Lansing, Katherine?
Well, today I was asked to speak at the rally for standing up for the thin blue line. But I figured since we're both here, might as well give you a quick constitutional all-in-one update. With Chief Bukula, unfortunately, the city of Lowell decided that the Constitution doesn't mean anything and basically played some games and then at the end said, well, we don't really care, we're not going to try to resolve this in any way that's reasonable or peaceful for the city of Lowell. So we will be filing a lawsuit. The thing is, I told Steve we need to wait to kind of look at what the different courts are doing and just as the COVID chaos starts to settle a little bit. But in addition to that, I also have something else that's on my plate since I was just granted, as of 2 days ago, the ability to have some time for oral argument in front of the Michigan Supreme Court, in front of, I'm only an amicus attorney, but we're going to be arguing the issue of constitutionality of the executive orders here in the state of Michigan. It came out of a case where some doctor's offices and a patient who was denied the ability to have a knee surgery, where those individuals came together and sued the governor, the attorney general, and the director of the Department of Health and Human Services here in Michigan. They sued in federal court, and the federal court judge said, well, based on the way these pleadings or court documents are written, the case might very well be decided upon an issue of state law or state constitution. So because these issues have never yet been decided or heard by the Michigan Supreme Court, this federal trial court judge said we need to certify two questions. Basically, are the executive orders legal after April 30th and are they constitutional? Certify those two questions down to the state Supreme Court. So the state Supreme Court will be having a hearing on September 2nd where the attorneys for those individuals will be able to have some oral argument time. They get 30 minutes. The attorney for the governor and the director of the Department of Health and Human Services will get 20 minutes. And then the counsel for the attorney general will also get 20 minutes. And then there were 3 amicus briefs that were accepted. One is on the side of freedom, but he argues totally different angles than what I argue. The second was a brief filed by I believe it was the Christine Gregg, she's the House Minority Leader here at the state capitol. So she had a brief filed, of course, in favor of the governor and his executive orders. And then I was the third brief, and I don't officially represent anybody in any capacity like I will when I file for Steve. I literally said I am filing the brief as basically an unofficial representative speaking on behalf of the people of the state of Michigan, because so far the people have largely been unheard in their voice on any of these issues in front of the court. So each of the attorneys in these cases have been confined to arguments that are specific and helpful to their particular client. But where is the voice of the people? So that's why I filed my brief. This is the third or fourth brief that I have filed with the Michigan Supreme Court this summer over these issues. And amicus attorneys are not ever really granted any kind of oral argument time. So
it's usually just a written brief you submit to the record.
Yep. And they don't always accept those. I mean, they have a policy of generally accepting them, but they don't always. But in this particular instance, they actually agreed to give me 5 minutes of oral argument time on September 2nd while this case is being heard and while arguments are being made as to the legality and constitutionality of these governor's executive orders.
So I watch your YouTube videos and Facebook videos, so you have to condense your hundreds of hours of good information you give all of us into 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because these judges have a short attention span, right?
Well, and so one thing that can come out of that is if so on oral argument day a week and a half ago or so, when the Court of Appeals was hearing oral arguments on the case of the legislature has versus the governor, I believe it was the legislature's attorney, they were questioning him. Thanks, Phil. They were questioning him. I will bring my militia guys to protect me when I come to events. They liked something. I think it was something they liked what he had to say. They wanted to flesh out that idea a little bit more, and so they allowed him to go beyond his time to speak because they wanted to be able to have these other questions answered. So, in theory, if there's a particular point that they think I'm making that they would like to have some follow-up questions on, they could allow me in that moment to speak or answer those questions beyond the 5 minutes. But what my husband pointed out is, although every single speech I've given or every single Facebook video I've given where I'm really going into anything that the law or the Constitution has to say, it's far over 5 minutes. Well, my husband pointed out that when we had that city council meeting on June 15th with the Lowell City Council, where I laid out for them how they not only violated their own policies, but how they were violating the U.S. and state constitutions in a variety of ways. I was able to do that in exactly 10 minutes. So if I can go through all of that information in 10 minutes, I should be able to figure out a way to get good information in front of the Supreme Court justices in 5 minutes or less.
And that's good because we need good information because, like you already said, the other side, they're going to be there counter-arguing, right, that the governor's within the law, she's within 1945 and all those things right there.
They say she's within 1976 too, though.
And 1976. Yep. And speaking of which, see, here's the problem right now. We have reinterpretations of 1976, 1945. And basically, the way I look at it is, like it says in the Declaration of Independence, as soon as the government goes against your life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, it's our duty to abolish. So, what's that leave us with? Maybe a constitutional amendment? Or?
It does, actually. So, good thing that God kept me busy this summer. And on May 22nd, there's the inclination that I got that I needed to draft a constitutional amendment to our state constitution. And I thought it was the craziest thing ever, but you know, it's God's plan in my life. So I drafted it, and within 7 days, the whole thing was reviewed and revised and submitted to the Secretary of State and sent to the printer. And we were getting signatures by, I want to say it was May 30th. So we had the lofty goal of trying to get the 425,059 signatures required to get us on the ballot. We had the lofty goal of getting all those signatures by July 6th, which would have been the deadline for getting us on the 2020 ballot. We didn't get that many. We had well over 100,000, but we didn't get the required 425,000. So we decided to keep on going. I asked, I had a house full of volunteers that weekend, going through and sorting and processing and validating the petitions. And I asked every single person in there if they thought it would be fair to the people of the state of Michigan if we kept going, knowing that I felt I let people down because I didn't get the signatures on the date that I thought we would get them. So they all, every single last one of them, said they were going to stay on board and they wanted to see this thing through. And although we were disappointed we didn't get on the 2020 ballot, we're going to keep going to 2022. So we're allowed to keep all those signatures that we got before.
That's the good thing. They don't expire, right? They can be continued.
Yep. So we just have 180 days from May 30th to continue getting all those signatures. And here it's kind of a bad thing. The 180th day is actually Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So, of course, we need to turn them in before then, and there might be snowstorms and everything else, and they'll declare another state of emergency. But, yeah, so 2 weeks prior to that, we are going to have the cutoff for petitions to get to us. And, of course, throughout these next, 4 months, I need people to keep turning in petitions. We're doing it bi-monthly, so making sure that, every 2 weeks we're having people turn those in, so we can be validating this whole time. But we need all the help we can get. If people want to donate money so we can get some more yard signs made up, get some banners and t-shirts like Restore Freedom, which is to restore Michigan to a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. These are some prototypes. We'd love to have people donate so we can get things like that going to get the word out there. If you're anywhere in Michigan and you can help us circulate and you're over the age of 18 and a U.S. citizen, we would love to have your help. Even if you don't know a ton of people, even if you're not politically active, everybody has at least a grandma, a cousin, a neighbor, the guy that goes to the same coffee shop, or a coworker. It's not too hard to really ask people.
9 spaces per sheet, right? Something like that?
Yep, 9 spaces per sheet.
So there you go, get a sheet done, right?
Yeah, so we can need all the help we can get.
So, and this would be this is a ballot initiative, to put it on the ballot, to vote for a constitutional amendment. And then if that amendment is, voted on by the people, is that something that Gretchen or any governor afterwards, can they start to use that against us, or will that be the supreme law of the land then?
Nope, our Constitution is the supreme law of the land. So what this amendment does is it doesn't fundamentally change the concept or the structure of government. What it does is it strips away all the extra garbage, all the gray areas where they're trying to argue this and argue that. So although Gretchen Whitmer does have to comply with both the 1976 and the 1945 law, she's arguing that she can kind of pick and choose and go back and forth. And so I spell it right on out in the Constitution. That's not how it works. And I also clarify the separation of powers. It's already there, but I make it dummy proof so we don't have these ridiculous arguments being made by these government officials. Another thing is probably one of my more favorite pieces in there. Anytime the government tries to deny us of life, liberty, or property, they are required under the U.S. Constitution, 5th Amendment and 14th Amendment, as well as in our state constitution, I want to say Article 1, Section 17, to give us due process of law in that situation before they deprive us. Well, what does that really mean? I go ahead and spell out that in the state of Michigan, what that means is if a government official of any capacity, government employee, is trying to take away your life, liberty, or property, they have to first prove that it's necessary to do that because you are trying to take away the life, liberty, or property of another individual. If you're not, then the government has no right to step in and try to take away your life, liberty, or property, period. So,
and furthermore, I've talked about this in my live streams. A lot of people believe they could be violating, I believe it's USC 242, which is deprivation of rights under color of law.
42 USC section 1983 is one of them, but 18 USC section 281, that is the one where they are, if you have any 2 or more individuals that are conspiring to deny a person of their constitutionally protected rights, then it is I believe it says it's a felony. It's punishable under certain circumstances by up to 10 years in prison. However, if individuals are kidnapped or if they die, then the people responsible can actually be sentenced to death. So for all of these executive orders that have led to the deaths of people in nursing homes or people that are being denied simple use of the hydroxychloroquine or anything like that, those are deaths that would definitely hold the governor responsible in that sense. She could be sentenced to death.
And a lot of these stay-at-home orders forcing people inside of their homes I read the statute in Michigan for kidnapping, and I'm not a lawyer, but it feels like that could maybe fall within forms of kidnapping in and of itself.
False imprisonment, definitely. So
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I actually spent a good chunk of time this afternoon talking about the myriad of different ways that our governor has been violating our state and federal constitutions. It's a whole video in and of itself, but yeah, there's definitely no room for debate on the fact that these executive orders are entirely unconstitutional. The worst part about it is I originally tried to take the argument that April 30th was the cutoff for when they at least weren't legal, because a lot of people, a lot of police officers, a lot of other individuals, they get scared and they shy away from the constitutionality arguments, right? Oh, that's just too big, too whatever, that's the U.S. Supreme Court that decides that. No, but I tried to meet them where they were at and say, well, listen, no matter what, it's not legal after April 30th, which is true. But if we boil it down to it, now that we're getting this far into it, they're not constitutional. They were never constitutional from day one. They're a deprivation of rights, which is not, allowed. In fact, our 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution specifically says that state governments cannot enforce any kind of law or other provision that denies us or disparages our rights that are guaranteed to us in the country.
And that doesn't matter if the Michigan House of Representatives, Senate, and government signs it. Even Marbury v. Madison said if it's contrary to the Constitution, it's null and void, right?
Yep. And Article 6 of our U.S. Constitution says that the United States Constitution is the supreme law of the land. And it doesn't say as indicated by the United States Supreme Court. It just says the United States Constitution is the supreme law of the land. So to the extent that we've had court cases come out that they're adding provisions or saying, well, it's okay if they take away your rights in this situation or that situation. No, that's not okay. And it's not in the language of the Constitution. So I don't care how high a particular judge or justice is or how much money they get paid to do their job. They're not doing it right if they're saying that it's okay in this particular circumstance for the government to take away our rights.
Yeah, because I've been reading our founding documents and our laws and our rights, and I don't see anywhere where it says accept the pandemic or accept the people. I can't find that accept in there.
The funny thing is, our state constitution, Article 4, Section 39, actually does the opposite. It requires that even in a state of emergency, that's the way it's worded, our state and local governments have to continue to operate. And so that kind of negates this whole concept of, well, there's scary things happening because it's an emergency, and so we have to shut everything down and deny people all these things.
Well, I still, not that I wanted to pay for it, but I still can't get a license plate for a truck that I bought back in June because the Secretary of State's still not opening. So.
Yeah, you have to get those appointments that are months and months out.
And then, yes. So that's it's crazy, isn't it? And I think that's what people don't realize, and that's kind of just to summarize it up here. What people think that just because that duly elected people voted on something and then it was signed by a governor, they assume that becomes the law of the land. And I think it's good that you're reminding people that no, these are rights that were given to us by God, and that if any government, whether elected or not, goes contrary to those, they become null and void, and we should probably try to abolish and reject that, right?
And whether we get rid of them or repeal them, or whether there's a lawsuit, we don't have to wait for them to be repealed. We don't have to wait for a court to sort it out in a case for us to exercise our constitutionally protected God-given rights.
We have them right now.
Yeah, God gave us those rights. The government can't just take them away. Yep. So I'm not waiting for a court to tell me I have the right to exercise, my Second Amendment rights or my First Amendment rights or anything like that.
Because if you ask for it, it becomes a privilege, not a right. So
exactly.
We're just going to exercise and see if they're going to try to stop us, right?
And when they do, I'll be here fighting tooth and nail until the day I die. So.
And I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, it's nice to see you again. We were here before, and I was here on April 30th, and so were you.
Oh, you were here April 30th too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have a bunch of footage of that when this whole building behind us here was shaking because everyone was trying to get in and listen to them vote. And they didn't have vote to extend.
Too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I have some good video footage to show you.
Oh, okay.
I was with my representative talking to him right beforehand, and stuff got kind of crazy. Representative Joe Bellino.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a Republican from Michigan, and he's definitely against the prolonging of these orders. He voted against, or rather failed to vote on April 30th.
Yeah.
I keep on wanting to get in the trouble saying voted against.
He,
they just failed to vote.
He actually voted in favor of Senate Bill 858, though, which was entirely unconstitutional. So,
is that the one that only 2 people voted against?
Only 2 people voted against it, and one of them, I believe, well, and 3 people were absent, and one was Karen Whitset, the Democrat from Detroit.
Yeah.
And
Stephen Johnson.
No, I think he voted in. I don't remember now.
There was one he voted against because I called it his office.
I think that was 5672.
Bowl of Faith. Oh, that was 5672.
That was 5672.
Sorry, there's so many.
Yep. But yeah, Senate Bill 858, all the freedom fighters, all the good guys, definitely, they voted in favor of a bill that would have required wearing masks and having businesses enforce that mask wearing and all that other stuff long before the governor tried to do it.
Okay, I need to look into that then.
Yeah, so if you do a video of me explaining that to the people that day, I said it right there on the floor of the, outside of the door anyway, of the House chambers. So, yeah, Matt Maddock came out as state rep and was trying to get people all excited. He was going, guys, you know, get all excited because we voted to not extend her, you know, state of emergency, and we did all these other things. And I said, no, let me see it. That's not what this bill says. And he, oh yeah, it does. And it was kind of funny because I didn't really know very many people in the hundreds of people that were around. But God was there that day because people just started paying attention and seeing that I was shaking my head no quietly. And people started to ask, well, hey, what do you think about it? What does it say? And sure enough, I was able to get a copy from my own state rep and see the language as it was amended. And to be able to see the horrendous things that they put in there. So
I guess I need to get some more reading.
They codified 29 of her then maybe 55 executive orders.
Because my rep and I were casually talking that day like you and I are, and we weren't wearing a mask, and he had some Democrats walk by and mask shaming right in front of me like, you're talking to a constituent without a mask, so.
Yeah.
He was against the mask outwardly, but.
Yeah. Most of them, I think, didn't read it, but the excuse, well, we only had 15 minutes and then we had to do something. No, you didn't have to vote to violate our Constitution, let alone my God-given constitutionally protected rights.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. That's going to be that could be a whole video in and of itself, how many ways that they violated the state constitution by voting on Senate Bill 858. In fact, Governor Whitmer that night, she hadn't done a Thursday press conference until that point. She did one because she wanted to tell everybody that, and she used footage of me standing up at the Capitol that day. She wanted to show everyone how we were going to kill everyone with COVID because we were here protesting. And she said, she made it a point to say how she was going to have to veto that bill because even if she wanted to sign it, she couldn't because it violated the state constitution and it covered more than one subject, which is just one way that it violated the state constitution. But she was correct, and I'm glad that she vetoed it because it could have been disastrous right then and there.
Yeah, she did veto it, and it's sometimes it's weird. Sometimes they will surprise you, and even a Democrat will see something that.
Yep.
This is why it's hard to trust any of them, right?
Yep. Yeah. It blew my mind, but here we are.
That's like a 2-hour conversation. So we should talk about that another time.
We should. Absolutely.
Nice seeing you again, though.
Yeah. Thank you.
Take it easy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate everything you're doing. A lot of people do.
Yeah. Likewise.
All right. Well, I hope you liked that video. I enjoyed hanging out and talking with Catherine, and I got a lot of good information from it. I'm going to have more videos on this channel very soon from some other really cool people that were also at that rally in Lansing, Michigan. All right, thanks for watching, and have a good one.